All right. Welcome back to Double Down. This is episode 2, and this week we have Nathan Faber here. I don't know if you want to say hi, but he is my bud who knows just about every sport and is going to give his takes on the NFL, MLB, and NBA this upcoming year. So, first, I want to address the Week 5 recap. That was absolutely a terrible week in football. I think Nathan can agree with that.
Oh yeah.
There were a lot of upsets that I didn't expect to happen. We started with a terrible Thursday night game. I don't want to address that. I think we should just leave that in the past. I ended up going 8-8, I think, so 8 wins, 8 losses. Some big upsets that I was not expecting was the Packers losing. I didn't expect the Jets to drop 40 on the Dolphins. The Jags, I expected winning, and the rest were pretty even. Could have went either way, but yeah. So that goes 8-8, and I'll update the all-time record on the bottom, and then as well as my locks that I put last week. So first, Nathan, I want to talk about how poorly the Broncos and Colts played last Thursday, because I know we talked about this in person. It was the most boring game in football. Like, the fact that people are winning like bets on taking no touchdowns, and it's an overtime game. I don't know. What was your Did you watch it?
I did watch some of it. I think I watched more of the second half of it. For me, I'm just still so surprised by this Broncos team. I just feel like they still haven't come out of their shell. Like they're just like stuck on some, like they have all the firepower they need, and I just feel like they can never execute. For me, the Colts, I was still surprised they were able to pull out anything, losing their two offensive weapons, Jonathan Taylor and then Hines going down, not having Jonathan Taylor in the game and then Hines going down early. I think, that they're still able to, scrape out a win. But just nobody getting a touchdown. I think there was some stat I saw was like, because these are two like multiple time Pro Bowl quarterbacks. Both have been to the Super Bowl before, and like, it's just, for me, it's just kind of crazy that they, able to convert nothing. And like, you look at the stats, like the highest rushing yard was like 62, and that was by the Colts third string running back. So it's just something that it's just such a, I don't know, just a terrible game.
I think
all around. It's pretty bad.
Like, as I mentioned that last week before I uploaded, Broncos were my favorite team and Colts were my second favorite team. So this was a game I was looking forward to watching, because either way I win. Right?
Yeah.
But that's the only way I lose. Like, it was a waste of 3 hours of my life.
Oh yeah. No, it was like the longest. It was the longest 3 hours. Yeah.
And I don't know. At the end, on a 4th and 1, I don't know. I can try to play the video on the bottom, but I don't know if you saw the playback. But Russell Wilson's he did not look through his options at all.
No.
Now I want to say that I would have wanted to go for a field goal, but I don't know. The defense is doing work. The Broncos defense is doing everything they can. They're holding teams to less points than you would hope. Obviously not the Raiders game, but I don't know. Russell Wilson has people. It's not like he doesn't have receivers. He has Sutton, he has Judy, he has more than enough, I feel like.
Yeah.
Obviously he's missing that tight end that he used to have in Seattle way back when, but I don't think it's really an excuse. I feel like we should have more than 2 wins,
Yeah. No, their most points they've given up is 32. That's to the Raiders, and then after that it's all mid teens. So that's something that it's those are pretty good defense, but all you're converting on this is scraping out wins. The most your offense has put up is 23. I don't know. They've got a lot to fix, but Russell's still I still trust him as a great quarterback, but he's got to figure out something. It's still early, and but they just have a tough division. They go to Chargers, and then they later on in the season they got to hit their division again. So it's just something that it's an uphill battle, but no, you can't count them out of the playoffs or anything. But
I agree. You look back at it, he should have hit KJ Hamler there for sure. I think my biggest takeaways are he must have really valued Jimmy Graham back then when he was in Seattle, because the first game of the season, he was targeting tight ends quite a bit. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, it took a while for Judy to get his like a receiver to get their first touch. So like, I don't know if we need to upgrade at the tight end spot, but it's hard to watch, especially without like, I don't know. Every time Melvin Gordon gets the ball, I'm scared that he's gonna fumble, right? Which I think he's a much better running back than he's showing, but yeah.
No, I think yeah. I mean, back in Seattle too. I mean, those teams when they were like absolutely killer in like the, what is it, 2014, 15, 16, like, they have the lethal Marshawn Lynch coming in, so it's like, but then you still have, you still had who like Doug Baldwin, and then their defense was so good. Like here, I feel like he's not too far away from a team like that. They have a pretty elite defense right now, holding teams to where you want them to be.
Exactly.
You have the receivers. Melvin Gordon's still, I would say, easily probably a top 10 running back in the league, and it's just something that it's like it's an interesting scenario where I feel like some of this now it's like, is this falling back onto Wilson? Do you think about coaching changes? Like where's your big?
I personally think coaching is a big part of it. I think some of the play calls are very iffy. Like as biased as I want to be, I don't know if Melvin Gordon's up there right now, but I do think that with the like 1-2 punch that they kind of had, it's definitely like a top 5 running back duo. Javonte Williams is like, I think he's that guy, like he's tough. But with him going down, we got to kind of work with Boone, and I think Latavius Murray is coming back this week, so maybe we get something, but yeah, I guess
that'll be definitely a tough road game at Chargers.
Yeah, I have no expectations for that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Chargers are coming off. I mean, they scraped out one on the road against the Browns. They beat the Texans. I feel like they're hitting their stride a little more. But I mean, they've had some big oofs too, like the Jags game when they lost like 38-10 or something like. So yeah, it's something that Chargers are an up and down team. I think the Chargers are the more talented team. I mean, what do they have? I think it's yeah. They have the Chargers -5 right now. So I still think it could be bigger blowout than that.
I think there's a high chance it could be. Unless because the defense is doing well, but Justin Herbert's a different he's a different animal
to deal with. And then I mean, the Chargers they're pretty healthy too, right?
Yeah. Or fairly healthy. I think Keenan Allen's the only one that everybody's worried about, but yeah,
my wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
Yeah.
Down week 1, but yeah, his hammy. I think he's like back, but he's not back like 100%. Yeah. So I think he's still kind of questionable.
I'll take it. I mean, sit out as long as you want. I have Mike Williams, so we work. But yeah, so I also wanted to talk on the Cincy game last week. I think the Bengals have very iffy choices in play calling. Like there was, I don't know if you watched the game, but there was one drive where they went for it on 4th down, and I think prior to that there was the what's it called? It's like the Philly special. They actually ran the Philly special, and it was so bad. Like it wasn't even a good attempt at running it. And maybe I was more frustrated because I have Joe Burrow, right? And I need him to rack up points for me, especially in fantasy. But I feel like they're not do you think last year was a fluke, or what do you think? Is it just they're working into the season again, or what's going on?
I don't know. I mean, I was very surprised by the Bengals last year. Even going into the playoffs, they beat some powerhouses of teams, and they still really competed against a really good Rams team in the Super Bowl and all that. I wouldn't say it's a fluke. I mean, winning in the NFL is hard. But they are definitely struggling. I mean, they're an interesting, how to put this. They're an interesting take because it's they're still a very young team, so it's something that it's adjustments there. First you can have a ton of hope that they'll improve a ton, that they have all this potential, but then at the same time, hey, losing some games isn't worst case for them. They still have a bright future. I think you still have exceptional receiving core. I still think your O-line is still what's
I was just about to say that right now.
It limits your play calling because it really something that you have these deep threats of Chase and Higgins, but then it's I don't know.
You have Tyler Boyd too. He has options everywhere. It's he can't go through his options. It's so frustrating to watch. Mixon can't get going, and I don't know. They were going against the Ravens, right? A good team. So like I don't think it's that big of a deal to like to say like, oh, is it an overreaction like if they're like a bad team because they lost, right? But they should have like I don't know what's going on. I think the O-line just needs work because once the O-line works up a little bit, I think the run game works, and then that opens up the pass game for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens are still that like kind of confusing team to me. Like they're still such a good team. Like they were my kind of AFC. I don't know if you'd even call them a sleeper, but kind of one that I was like, I would watch out for that team. And they've had some absolutely brutal losses this season, but I still think the Ravens they're the team to beat in the AFC at this point. Besides obviously the Bills, but like they're kind of that team they're kind of a juggernaut in a lot of ways that I could see them going pretty deep in the season. But we'll see. Bengals are, I would say, a good season for them, ending how they're playing right now. If they can make the playoffs, we'll see how it goes. There's still a lot of football left to play, but I think they're one that their O-line's just not where it needs to be to compete at a high level. And
Agreed.
If you want to have Burrow have any duration of his career, like get that O-line up, then you can get Mixon going. Then you just have such a threat there because you have top receivers that like absolutely can just tear up a defense. But if they're not able to get open, you're done. I mean, if Burrow has zero time, you're done. So,
very good point. I think, I think what it comes down to is the O-line for them. And then I don't know if you got a chance to see the Cardinals game, but I thought it was funny. I saw a report last week that literally said in the title, somehow Matt Amendola finds a way onto a roster. And I was like, isn't this the guy who always loses it for teams? So I looked into him. He has a bad record going into teams, right? I'm like,
yeah,
I never hope for someone's downfall or like am wishing bad upon them, right? But I'm like, okay, so I hope he does well, Literally this week, it was so bad. I genuinely think that obviously I think it was his O-lineman came in and spoke for him during an interview. He wasn't the only reason why they lost the game, right? There were other things that everybody else could have done that could have made the game a lot easier. I think Kyler Murray could have slid a little further or kept going, so it's an easier kick. But he has no clutch gene in him, and I think the dude might have just lost his job again. And I think he's out for the season without an injury. I think the dude's out because he needs to start practicing. And I feel bad because kicking's hard.
Yeah.
But this guy finds himself in pressure situations a lot. I don't know if it's the team that he's on or it's just the luck of the draw, but he can't hit it when it comes down to it. I was personally laughing when I saw it because I was hoping for the best, but it's so hard to not react that way,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kicking is brutal. I always feel bad, for kickers in a lot of ways, but at the end of the day, it's your job. Cardinals struggling team, Eagles kind of escaped with a win there on the road. I think it's Eagles are a good team.
They showed videos right before too. They showed videos of him practicing kicking, and he was wide right every time. I think it was wide right, and he kicked it the exact same way. I felt so bad. I was like, you're kicking wide right. Try to adjust. This is when it counts, But you can't do anything about it now. But yeah, and then lastly, before we go into both of our locks and upsets for the week, want to tap into Taysom Hill, because what type of week was that? I saw in one of my fantasy leagues, one of my friends had Kyle Pitts, and because Kyle Pitts was injured, picked up Taysom Hill, and the dude goes off for 35 points.
This guy frustrates me so much because he's always, obviously he's on my end of the fancy luck, but he's someone that's it's just hard to figure out a spot to put him. I think later we're going to talk about Jimmy G versus Trey Lance, and Taysom Hill I feel like is a guy that if you put him as the sole quarterback, he's not as dynamic and he can't make as big of an impact on a team as kind of how the Saints use him now. He can be used all over the place, and then it's just can wreak havoc on defenses because it's like, I mean, like, how do you scheme against a guy like him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, are you gonna put him up, put him under center? Are you gonna put him on the out? Are you gonna run him? Like what are you gonna do? He's just kind of a guy that can just be everywhere.
I was
And
I was looking
it's scary.
while he was playing, right? Because I saw his numbers go up. I was like, yeah, I gotta watch this guy, right? And obviously, everybody like going into the season, everybody knows who he is because he's that guy. Like he's the guy who they always go to. He can play tight end, quarterback, But the trend going into today's game was every time he gets the ball under center, he's running, right? Or in shotgun, he's still running. So when I was watching, I'm waiting. When is it going to be the one time that he fakes it and he throws, right? And he got a passing touchdown this weekend too. So I'm like, the dude, you realize it's really hard to play against. Like, I think like he becomes a really good threat, especially if Jameis Winston is like a little bit more stable when he comes back. Or well, I don't know, was he back? I wasn't even watching that part. I was just looking out for Taysom Hill. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're gonna see a lot more of him. So we'll talk more about it later with fantasy football. But I will go through. We'll switch off. How many locks do you have for this week?
I got 3 locks. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 3 locks.
So we'll go back and forth. I have 4, and then I just want to throw one in at the bottom. But I think my first lock for this week is going to be Minnesota at Miami. It's minus 150, and I think if you have any of the same, just let me know. But I feel like that's pretty like the way Miami played last week. Unless I don't think Tua is ready to come back with all the quarterback struggles that they have. And then Minnesota playing that the way they are, I feel like there's no way. I mean, Justin Jefferson got like 90 yards in the first quarter, right? If teams aren't prepping for like him, there's no way that like the Vikings struggle if their defense can kind of hold up,
Yeah, no, that was one of my locks of the week too, was Vikings over Dolphins. I mean, you have no idea who's going to be Miami's quarterback. I think it's more the Vikings are just the more stable team right now. They have, their issues too, but I think, having Kirk Cousins anywhere but primetime, I think is beneficial for the Vikings. So I think, I'm taking Vikings on this one. I think just Miami last week, like, sure, your quarterback goes down, but like your defense gave up way too many, points for a team that if you got to make up for your quarterback being down. So if you can't protect that, Justin Jefferson's going to run all over them like he did the Packers week 1, and I think Vikings can run away with this one, even though they're on the road. But I don't know who's going to be back for the Dolphins at quarterback. If Tua's back, I would definitely give Miami more of a shot, but who knows how he's going to react even when he is back. I'm taking the Vikings too. It's, I think, a pretty easy lock for me. Just they're a talented team. Just they're more stable. They'll be more ready. They're not reeling.
All right. And then you can hop into your second.
Yeah. So my next lock was Packers over Jets. For me, obviously being a Packers guy, I'm always having high hopes. But the Packers are coming off of kind of 2 whack weeks. Like they went 2 back-to-back weeks with 0 scoring in the second half. They scored in overtime 2 weeks ago, but they got to figure something out. But for me, the reason it's a lock, they're coming off a loss. They're at home at Lambeau. Matt LaFleur has never lost 2 in a row, so it's something that I always count on Aaron Rodgers. He'll get the job done. I don't think the Packers like absolutely run away with this, but
it's possible.
Jets had a huge win, 40-17 win over Miami, but who knows if that was a fluke win for the Jets, but I'm taking the Packers on a lock. The Packers have a lot of issues right now. Rodgers was like 0 for 5 on attempts of over 20 yards last week. I think it's just they're playing pretty bad. But I still think the Packers can just kind of use this as a game to kind of launch themselves to get back in play. But yeah, I'm locking the Packers over the Jets.
I like that. I will take the Ravens over the Giants. I mean, I think Saquon's playing a lot better than people expected this year, by far. But Baltimore, they didn't look like completely like themselves this week, but I think the Giants have a little bit of an easier defense to go against, so I think Lamar is just going to be launching that. I could see just, I don't know, Baltimore scoring over 30 and the Giants are in the teens. I think it'd be pretty much a blowout as far as that game goes. And then, do you have one more?
Yeah, my next lock is Niners over Falcons. You know, Niners had a pretty impressive win over the Panthers. 37-15 win. They're just a solid team on all sides of the ball. Obviously as a Packers guy, the Niners just are the kryptonite of the Packers. But the Niners do have concern. Bosa's out; he could be sidelined for next game. He had like groin tightness. He was out for the whole second half. Then Jimmy Ward made his debut, broke his hand. I think it's just something that they're a little bit concerning. On the defense, there's definitely concerns, but I'm still taking Niners over the Falcons in this one. Sure, the Falcons, I think, in my opinion, they're playing a lot better than I thought they would be. They're kind of that one tough rough in the passer call last week from contention in that game. So I think it's something that it's definitely a game to watch, but I'm still locking the Niners over the Falcons.
Right. I like it. I mean, the Falcons are putting a lot more points than I thought they would, so it's a pretty good year for them. But I would agree. I'll go through all my picks later just so I have reference, but I also have the Niners. And then my last two picks were Tampa Bay over Pittsburgh. They're heavy favorites. They're minus 380. And then I just don't think Pickett's he put up like big yardage numbers last week, but I don't think they can compete with Mike Evans, a healthy Chris Godwin. It'll be hard. I thought Brady would put up a lot more in terms of points last week, especially against the Falcons, but it seemed like they slowed down after a while. But yeah, and then I have Cincy over New Orleans, the minus 125. I think Cincy will bounce back from this week. At some point, like it's week 6 already. At some point, their O-line has to come together and be like, hey, we gotta play better, right? Or they gotta practice during the week because this New Orleans team isn't that good. And they've been allowing a lot of points. So I think the Bengals should be, they should be taking advantage of that. And then also one that I just want to throw in there was my favorite game of the week. I think the Bills versus Kansas City, the Chiefs. I think the Bills will win. I'll touch on it later, but I think the over 54 will hit. If the Bills had a healthier defense, maybe there's a chance that it goes under. But KC's strong. We saw this week they just dropped 30, right? And then the Bills, I feel like Josh Allen he's an MVP form, I feel like every time I check my phone, the dude has another touchdown. Or I remember I woke up, the game just started, and there's a touchdown. I was like, what just happened? It has to be a glitch, right? But yeah.
No, he's a hack. He's definitely a hack.
And then we can go into upsets. I only have one this week. Mine is Washington over Chicago on Thursday, the plus 100. I don't think Justin Fields is good. I touched on it last week. I think he had some good throws last week. Got bailed out by a nice catch, but he's not good in my opinion. There are much better quarterbacks out there, and I think at some point, Washington will just kind of start scoring touchdowns again. Carson Wentz will hopefully be more accurate, but yeah.
My first upset of the week is be a hot take. Cowboys over Eagles.
Okay.
I'm riding this.
Rush.
Montana. There's Montana. There's Brady. There's Manning. There's Rodgers, and there's Rush. But for me, I think it's a major divisional matchup. I really think it's a must-watch game. It could be completely a one-sided way. With going to Eagles, but you're 5-0. You gotta lose at some point. But also, I think it's just Cowboys are playing pretty good football. Eagles have been on shaky at times, and we'll see if they can get them on Sunday night. But I think it'll be kind of one of the games I highlighted for this week. After that Bills and Chiefs, Bills and Chiefs will go right into the Cowboys and Eagles. So I think it's a pretty two must-watch games right there.
Okay.
But I think this one could be a big factor in their division too. Definitely a much better division than the NFC East has been for the past couple past couple of years. My second one, this one's a long shot.
Hmm.
Is Panthers over Rams. For me, it's just because I always ride the teams whenever a coach is fired and it's kind of like a coach's new first week. I feel like they always have like, they always have some bounce back. They're just like for 1 week, and then they'll be bad for the weeks after that. But who knows?
It's kind of like a shot in the face,
Exactly. Yeah. But I think it's a good move to fire Matt Rule. Big 12 football is not the NFL, so we'll see how they bounce back. Panthers, could click and all that, but I think another kind of you kind of mentioned earlier is another must watch is Broncos Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I still think like that one has pretty big implications for that division too, but that one, I'm definitely excited for
It's
that.
low-key a must win for the Broncos. Like, you don't want to go 2-4.
Yeah, they'd be 2-4 and what, like 0-3 in the division? 0-2 in the division?
2. I don't think they played the Chiefs yet.
Got it. So they lost to Raiders and
But
Chargers.
I mean, when they do play the Chiefs, as a Broncos fan, that's an L. So just count it towards a 2-5, or something like that. But yeah, are those your upsets?
Yeah, those are my upsets for the week.
Okay,
so
cool.
Cowboys over Eagles, Panthers over Rams.
Very nice. I'm going to run down all of the games and just say my winners real quick, just so I have it on the screen. I
There you
got
go.
Washington over Chicago. I have obviously Indy over Jacksonville. That could go either way. I'm gonna take Buffalo over KC. Minnesota over Miami. Cleveland over New England. I think you said I have the Niners over Falcons. Tampa Bay over Pittsburgh. Bengals over the Saints. Ravens over the Giants. Packers over the Jets as well. And then this one was hard for me, but I'm going to go Seahawks over Cardinals. I did not mention that in the upsets, but I feel like Geno Smith is playing very, very well. And I think Kyler Murray is not playing as well as he could be. So if that goes in the same direction as recent weeks, there's a chance. So I'm just going to go with it because there has to be more upsets during the week, right?
Yeah, no, I'm right in that. Like the Seahawks kind of like upset mentality right now. I almost wouldn't even consider it an upset.
Yeah.
with how kind of just bad the Cardinals are playing. They're both 2-3, but I think it's definitely a good game. The Seahawks are at home too. They have a tough home crowd to play at. So who knows? Yeah. I think that's some pretty good picks right there.
This has been hurting me, but I'm gonna go with the Rams. I think I've picked them a couple times recently, and they've been, I mean, obviously not good, but
yeah,
I don't know more words, bro. At some point, the Rams gotta win. And then I love what Cooper Rush is doing, but I think the Eagles, just because it's hard to stop Jalen Hurts when he's running, and he's been running like a maniac. So we'll do that. And personally, I think the Chargers are gonna win, but for my sanity, we're gonna go with the Broncos. So yeah, those are the picks. And then I want to hop into, you mentioned earlier, Jimmy G versus Trey Lance. If Trey Lance is healthy, who are you starting? Let's say he's magically healthy this week.
Yeah, I'm still a firm believer in starting Jimmy G, just from the perspective of like I hate the Niners fans hate on Trey Lance. Dude has what, like maybe 6 complete starts? I don't even know. Like I don't even know if he's barely any like complete starts. Dude has very little experience under his belt. So like you can't hate on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's extremely talented. All there. I would still start Jimmy G, just because he's just kind of Mr. Old Reliable right there. Like he gets the job done for you. You win games. He knows how to run an offense. Sure, he's not the best quarterback, not the most talented. Makes some bad decisions sometimes, but he's kind of what gets it done. I was thinking is if they're both healthy, right? They can kind of run a 2 quarterback system. Maybe try some stuff like the Saints have done. Like Trey Lance, he's no Taysom Hill. Like I don't think he wants to play like Taysom Hill, or I don't think the Niners would want to play him like Taysom Hill. I think he's too I wouldn't want him running around on special teams, playing tight end and stuff like that. But try something like that. Put 2 quarterbacks out there, see how defenses have to react, and make defenses think different than the Niners' typical just play action sort of offense. If you're able to have that sort of diversity in your offense, like it's something that you're pretty, you can make things a lot scarier, and then you can open up, you can have Debo, you're focused on what they're going to do with Trey Lance, and Debo's just, running free, and you have a 25, 50-yard play right there. Like I think it's something that you kind of run it to QB model, but if I had to just pick one quarterback, at this point, I would just start Jimmy G. I would still try to get Trey Lance snaps, in games. If you're second half, you're up by a lot or down by a lot, but I would still be starting Jimmy G.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jimmy G is the move. Obviously, you mentioned he's not a Tom Brady, he's not Aaron Rodgers, but he goes out there and he gets a solid amount of wins, right? He's not throwing picks all over the places. He's not, he's not fumbling, not making bad decisions all the time. I think he's stable enough to where I think if you were to start Trey Lance and get rid of Jimmy G, I think Jimmy G is starting on a different team. And I like the idea of the 2 quarterback model because personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Trey Lance, and I won't I'll say I feed into the hate sometimes. I think as opposed to other running QBs, or like run first QBs, let's say Jalen Hurts, right? He's a significantly worse passer, and I feel like it's hard to watch Trey Lance play, because he runs so often, in my opinion. Like it's so often that you can tell he's kind of like bailing on that. But I think in the future, the two, like when he gets healthy, obviously, the 2 quarterback strategy might work. But yeah, for now, I'm also going with Jimmy G. And then I have 2 teams that I want to ask you about before we go into our power rankings and then fantasy football.
There you go.
The Rams and the Lions. So the Lions, obviously, tough week. I actually decided to start Jared Goff in my 2 quarterback league this week, and he got me 5 points. And I had Amon-Ra as well, got me 3. It's half PPR, so very, very hard. But do you think they bounce back this week? What do you think is going to go on?
I don't know. For me, the Lions they're always like I can't
sorry.
this season.
Sorry to interrupt. They have a bye this week. I forgot. But do you bounce back after?
Yeah. I think the Lions are, they're kind of they're the team I can't read yet.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you watch them in the, what's it called? The preseason thing, where they have the camp there, the
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
You see a team, you're so ready for them, you're so hyped for them, and they're kind of like, I wouldn't say they had a dud of a first week, but they kind of were struggling those first couple weeks. They had a really good game at the Seahawks the other week, where obviously it's a tough game how it ended for them. But I think for me, what I kept seeing in fantasy, I have Jamal Williams in fantasy.
He's goated.
Dude's been goated. Obviously, tough scenes. He's been on my bench for a couple of those good weeks, but I think he's I think the guy's pretty good. So I think you need to run your offense through him. Jared Goff still, he's still a pretty solid quarterback. So it's, you got to utilize, your weapons there. But if you're able to open up that run game, then you can, play into play action and get the Lions kind of opened up and, just get some more variety to them.
I agree. You hit Amon-Ra, you have TJ, you have a lot of options.
Yeah. So. Let's see who are they playing. Oh, they go to Cowboys in 2 weeks.
The Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. That'll be tough scenes, but I think
it was just a bad week.
Week by week.
But then we compare it to the Rams. I think the Rams have had a couple bad weeks now. And I also have Stafford, which hurts because I thought the first week against the Bills was just, takes a while to get into the season. But this dude is not playing well. He's not. Maybe it's because he's old. I want to give him that cop out, but I don't know.
I think some of it
Kupp
too
is so good. He doesn't look at Allen Robinson. Dude, it's literally Kupp or Higbee. I don't know if it's hard, but I think give it 2 games, they'll start picking up. That's a little too late.
Yeah, no, I think they're struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously already have one divisional loss in there. So it's something that, you kind of got blown out by the Bills, which was, kind of like, is this a potential, Super Bowl rematch? Then you just don't really live up to the expectations. Obviously, they won Super Bowl last year. You can talk about Super Bowl a Super Bowl hangover and just kind of not living up to that expectation. But their offense is not producing. Like what their past weeks, what did they score? 10, 9, 20, and then they scored 30. But like I mean, you're reeling right now, and I think a Rams is a chance where you can bounce back, or it's a chance where the Panthers can sneak out them. So I mean, it's that one. Panthers can. I mean, sorry, the Rams can try to set a new tone, but I don't know. It's they're not a team that I would be too afraid to play right now.
I feel that. And then I mean, I agree. I want to hop into the power rankings because obviously, for me, our Super Bowl Rams are not in there anymore. But my top 10 would go the Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs, then I have the Philadelphia Eagles, the Baltimore Ravens, and then let's just list out the rest. I think I have the Vikings, Bucks, Bengals, Chargers, and then Niners. Was that 10? Let's see. If I didn't put 10, Packers end it, but if not, maybe that's 11. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I can start at the top again too. So I easily start Bills there. I think it's just too hard to move anywhere else away from them. They're too complete of a team. They're too scary to move anywhere else. I have Eagles at 2. Then I move the Chiefs into 3. I mean, I don't know if it's just the Raiders. The Raiders just know how to compete with the Chiefs. They definitely showed some holes, and I feel like they got lucky with they got away with some holding calls. Against Crosby. That kind of led to a Kelsey touchdown. Sure, it was also tough roughing the passer call, but I still put Chiefs at 3. I still always scared of Mahomes and Kelsey. That duo is just too scary for me. I put Ravens in at 5. I still think they're a huge contender for the AFC. Just kind of sees who they end up getting matched with in the playoffs. I put Bucks after that. Then I put Vikings. Then I put Niners. Then I still put the Packers in right after that. And then to round it out, I put Cowboys in at 9, and then at 10, I'm going with the Chargers. For me, I still think
Herbert.
I still think the Chargers just haven't got going yet.
I mean, Eckler looks good.
It just hurt losing Allen. I think that was a huge loss for them. But it's just, I don't know. I still love Herbert. Having they still have so much talent that they can go far with. So,
gotcha. All right, and then we will kind of go through it. Just give me your opinion. Are these players reliable or not reliable, fantasy football wise? Gabe Davis and Taysom Hill.
Reliable.
Okay. Very nice. I think Taysom Hill is a reliable option. I think he's good to put up like eight or more points a week. Gabe Davis, a little iffy for me because you have those weeks where Josh Allen's not really looking his way, but if you have more weeks like that, he can be everything you want from another player, especially like a flex. And then we're gonna hop into our wire pickups to aim for. I have 2. How many do you have?
I just had 1,
Okay.
just because like for me right now, I'm reeling in fantasy right now.
Okay.
I'm not feeling too hot in fantasy. Like I'm just not feeling like I have the mojo. There's one guy who I have on my team, so in some ways, I don't know if you consider him a waiver, but probably not in a lot of leagues. So yeah.
So I mean, in most leagues, so my 2 are Kenneth Walker, the running back, who's gonna take Rashad Penny's spot. Obviously, they need a running back 1, and I think he's a solid 10 points a game. And then Jacoby Myers has been targeted a frick ton every game when he's playing, so I'm high on him. I think he'll be good. And then who's yours?
Yeah, I put AJ Dillon for the Packers. I don't know if you can consider him a waiver pickup. I've had him, but he's still a guy that I think he's so much potential to just kind of leap in each week with 10, 12 points. And as a guy, when you have your big boys are on bye weeks or something, I think he's a decent guy to have on your option. The other guy that the Packers have started to open up with a lot more is Christian Watson.
Right.
he's, they've started using him in different facets than I thought they would. They kind of used him for different end arounds and kind of different run game schemes, kind of similar to how the Niners have used Debo.
Yeah.
He's just ultra, just kind of electric receiver in that way. He still has some drop issues, but he's another guy that you could see how the Packers keep playing out if their offense finally opens up. The biggest weakness there is just Packers offense is the one kind of slowing those guys down, I think. So
right. Agreed. But once Aaron Rodgers picks up, it's all good for the receiver at least. So yeah, and then I guess it leads into the sleepers to start. I think, from my opinion, these are players that, let's say in like most 10 team leagues, you're not starting. But especially with bye weeks coming up, I think these are solid options. I would start George Pickens. I think the dude, Pickett works well with him, right? So I think it's like a 1-2 punch that's going to be good. He had more receptions last week than Deontay Johnson. And even though I think Deontay had more targets, but still I think they're both up there. So I think it's a solid option. Maybe he gets a touchdown here and there. And then Raheem Mostert, very solid in my opinion. Chase Edmonds he's not really there anymore. So I would go with him. Do you have any?
Yeah, I would say Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he's someone that people have always some people might start him as at quarterback, but I think he's going in playing against the Commanders. I think he's kind of, you could say he's coming out of the sleeper status, but I still think he's still not on everyone's radar, and I think he could be a sleeper against the Commanders and pop out for another hopefully get mid-20s in your points right there. I think it's like kind of like Carson Wentz. I kind of getting similar vibes of Carson Wentz early in the season. Like that dude jumped out for like 30 points, 20 some points, like just like whoa. Because I remember I picked him up week 1, and he held me for a couple weeks, hurt me for next. So
he's back. He's back all of a sudden.
Yeah, but I still think he could be a sleeper. Commanders, aren't the strongest, defense and all that. I think he could crack through with a couple big plays. So
are they playing the Commanders this week? I thought the Bears were. I think.
Did I have that week wrong?
Maybe let's take a look. I think the Titans. Titans have a bye this week. I guess you're hopping into
the week after that. Are they playing them the week after?
Maybe.
Maybe I was looking at.
They play the Colts week 7. So.
Yeah. Where did I see that one? Was that this week they played the Commanders?
Yeah, they did. They beat them this week.
I had my notes all wrong then. Oh yeah, that's not bad. Let's see. What did he end up with this week? Because I still starting Carson Wentz. Let me see what he ended at.
He ended at 181 yards, 1 TD. So Carson Wentz was much better. He had 359 yards, 2 TDs, 1 in. Not bad at all. But I want to hear your opinion on this. We're gonna do a rapid fire comparison. So this is one of the things I didn't tell you. I just want to kind of like spring on there, see off the top of your head who you think is better than who. So this week we're gonna do CMC. I'm gonna name running backs and you tell me who you would take between the two of them. All right?
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor
to CMC.
Yeah.
I gotta go CMC.
Eckler. Aaron Jones.
You
gotta go CMC, right?
I gotta go CMC. I think Aaron Jones, he splits a lot more, splits a lot more plays. So he's kind of one that's like, one week he may pop off like he did that Sunday night game against the Bears, but then other weeks AJ Dillon's taking a lot more. I'd go CMC.
Right. Nick Chubb.
CMC.
Wow, dude, Nick Chubb's popping off right now.
But my thing is, I just feel like the Panthers they're gonna kind of get out of some slump. But I still go CMC. I just love CMC. Like he's he's just so dynamic because I feel like he's almost his the amount of passing. I don't know the amount of passing things he gets. So if you're in a PPR league, I think he's still kind of the dude to go to there.
All right, Derrick Henry.
Ooh. That's always a tough one. Again, going off like PPR league. No, I think I would go Derrick Henry there.
Najee
Harris. I would go CMC.
Okay. Dalvin Cook.
Ooh. That's a good one. I think I would go CMC too.
And then last one, Saquon.
Ooh. Ooh. 2 years ago, easy Saquon pick for me, but I think I'd go Saquon.
Okay.
I think he's kind of just he's almost I wouldn't call him a sleeper, but like this year he's kind of been like under people's radar, and he's kind of tearing it up. And I think the Giants have something a little more special than they've had the past couple of years. So I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think I might take Saquon. I think the Giants' offense, I would say, is better than the Panthers' offense yeah, at this point. So,
Gotcha. Okay, I will quickly run through mine. I think I would take, as of this season, obviously, right, I'd take CMC over Jonathan Taylor. I'd take Eckler over CMC over Aaron Jones, and then I would take Chubb, Henry over CMC. Najee is not even close to CMC for sure. And then obviously I think up until this point CMC is doing better than Dalvin Cook. But I think Dalvin Cook will finish better. So I'll go Dalvin Cook. And then I'm going to stick with CMC over Saquon only because I also think CMC will break out a little bit. So I don't know if you got a chance to take a look at your picks, but this is going to be the last thing we talk about for the NFL. I have 3 picks for the week. Or actually, I guess 4 that I wanted to put out there. I think will hit. I think Tom Brady over 280.5 pass yards. I feel like the run game isn't strong, and when Leonard Fournette is getting the ball, he's getting it from Brady on a pass. So I think he's hitting that for sure. Nick Chubb over 88.5 rush yards. That's light. The dude's running like, I don't know what his average is per carry, but it's so easy for him, it looks like. And obviously credit to the O-line. And then I think Jeff Wilson over 72.5 rush yards. And then I would throw in, I guess you could say there's 5, but 4 or 5. Cooper Kupp and Travis Kelce over 0.5 touchdowns. I think those are 2 very reliable touchdowns you can go to. And then all you.
Are you asking?
Yeah. Do you have any? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd say this week I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to pop off this week. I'd go hot take. I think Rodgers over 3 passing touchdowns this week. I think he could go at 300, 3 TD week. I think he has a lot of pent up kind of aggression, and hope he just kind of takes it out on the Jets this week. I'd say Justin Jefferson over 100 yards receiving. I think he's able to do it. I think for him he kind of popped off week 1. More mild, but I think I think those are kind of my two big picks right there.
Gotcha. Okay. And now we're going to kind of transition into the MLB. So I guess I wanted to address the fact that my bracket is freaking caked after the first round. I'm pretty sure I went 1 for 3 in the first round, which is absolutely embarrassing, but who could have seen all those coming?
Yeah.
I still think the Dodgers win. I think so one question that I had, and it is Tuesday for us right now as we're filming, I wanted to ask Nathan if the Phillies could upset the Braves, and I think he mentioned to me before that he thought so. I think the Braves will win, but as of now the Braves lost 7-6 for the series, so they're down 1-0. Do you think that the Phillies can close it out on the Braves, or?
I don't think they can. I mean, you let the Braves. I think if they kept them to like a 7-2, 7-3 game, then I'd be like, I'd be a little more scared. But you let the Braves offense get going again in the ninth like that, and I think the Phillies bullpen's been kind of a weakness. And like for me, if you let that Braves team get rolling, the only team that's really playing with them is the Dodgers in the NL. I could see the Braves coming back and winning 4 in a row. But for me, the biggest scary thing is like you let the Braves get some sense of hope by getting 3 in the ninth tonight. I don't think that's good looks for the Phillies and kind of where they're going. But hey, their offense still put up 7 runs against the Braves. So hopefully it's a good series. Hopefully it can go 6-7 games. But I still think the Braves are going to pull it out.
I agree. I think the Braves will win, and I just don't see away where they lose multiple in a row. I hope Bryce Harper, plays well. Big fan. I know a lot of people hate on him, but I think I'm hoping he hits a couple of homers. But yeah, so that, and then obviously there's other games, but
Yeah, I mean, he was 3 for 3 today, so.
Yep. Do you have any upsets in the divisional round that you see standing out to you? Because I do not.
I mean, the only one that I could say is more of a contention is that the Mariners Astros, just because you're playing with their divisional teams, so they've seen each other a lot this season. Mariners are playing pretty hot baseball right now.
They're up 7-3 right now in the bottom of the
eighth. Yeah, I know they're up 7-3. That's why I've been checking the game. That's why I keep going back to my phone. I think they're if they're able to win one in Houston, hey, you take one tie series going back home. There's definitely some games to play. Astros are always a scary team. Yeah. I mean, put another 106 wins this season. I think
the scary thing though is, since you mentioned this game, is that the Mariners put up 6 on Verlander.
Yeah.
So they're going to come into next game confident, whether they win or lose this game, which obviously it looks like they're going to win. But if that's a sign for anything, I think you may be onto something, that the Mariners would have the best chance to upset. As an LA boy, I think the Padres are a little scary. I mean, they're playing pretty well. I obviously thought the Mets were going to win because, I don't know, you have DeGrom, you have a very lengthy roster.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, as we speak, Bregman just hit a homer, so 7-5 right now, so
okay.
Astros aren't going away, so we'll see. Yeah, I think Padres Dodgers, again, another divisional round one, but I mean, Dodgers have absolutely owned. People have wanted to place that as the next rivalry of the decade. Going back to 2 seasons, it's not even fair. It's not even a fair. It's not. I can't even consider it a rivalry. The Dodgers just absolutely own the Padres. So
if the Dodgers lose, Machado is going to speak up. So
yeah, no, I think seeing the Dodgers come from sure, you get a little the rest period. You could say, ooh, are they going to be a little out of funk? I think it's similar to what the Braves were. You might be a little, the other team's kind of coming in hot, and you got to bounce back. The Braves bounce back 3 in the 9th. Dodgers, that team's just, it's unfair to see, top to the bottom of that lineup, their pitching staff. That's a tough team to beat. So yeah, I don't see many upsets there. I'd say if I had to pick one, maybe Mariners Astros. Okay. And you kind of got the good mojo of the Mariners not being in the playoffs for forever. So who knows? I would love to see the Mariners beat the Astros. I'd love to see anybody beat the Astros, but yeah, if I had to pick one, Mariners over Astros.
Last topic for the MLB, because obviously there's not much going on. I just searched up to see if there was any update, but something I wanted to touch on was Joe Musgrove.
Yeah.
That was so funny to me. When I obviously wasn't watching the whole game, but when I see the pictures and I see what everybody is talking about, it looks like there's something. I mean, unless that's just sweat, but I was dying. I thought it was funny. What do you think of the whole situation?
I mean, it's definitely an issue. I think it's something I've really liked that the MLB has been checking on it, because the amount of advantage it can give to a pitcher if you're able to have the extra grip on your fingers and you're able to get, you're able to just have that much more command of your off-speed pitches and everything. It's cheating. But I think that one just kind of, it just was a little it was just weird.
Yeah.
Of course, if a guy's pitching well and just absolutely shutting your team down, then you're like, oh, they're cheating and all that. But
for sure,
I still think it's good. I still think the MLB needs to, still doing their checks as they do.
Yep.
Just because it, just keeps the game more consistent, more fair, and just reliable in that sense. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, you see something like that, you're down by a ton. You don't want it to be the whole situation where, obviously he came out after, and if the ump's gonna say that there's nothing on there, he's gonna be as confident as one can be, right? Because if you're pitching so well where they think you're cheating, it's obviously an ego boost, right? I think he went 7 innings, but yeah, I mean, props to him if he wasn't that. It was a great showing, especially against a really good Mets team. And then obviously For us, the NBA starts a week from today. I wanted to. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get next week video out like right before the game started. So I wanted to see what were your preseason awards that you would give. So the ones I'm asking for, personally, I don't really care about Defensive Player of the Year. I could care less. We're going MVP, Most Improved Player, Rookie of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year. I can go first, or you can go first. Up to you.
Yeah. Or we can bounce off.
Right.
MVP. I'm just gonna go back to Giannis. I mean, I think it's always like a safe pick. I think he wants he's gonna play some revenge this year. I think he's coming back. I love watching him play. I mean, he's always scary to play.
I think this year is Luka's year. I think it's about time Luka wins an MVP. And I think it's this year. So I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And then Most Improved Player, do you have one in mind?
Trying to think. I want to go Most Improved Team this year. Actually,
Okay.
Can I go Most Improved Team award?
Go ahead.
I'm gonna give it to the Sacramento Kings. As a Sacramento Kings guy, but my hot take is Kings will make the playoffs this year. I think they'll break the drought. I'm counting the play-in game as breaking that.
So I was gonna ask you though. I was gonna ask after this what team you thought would surprise people the most, and because last week I chose Detroit, just because I feel like they have a lot of young talent. You think it would be Sacramento?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, basically the Kings have nowhere to go but up. So
True.
I think it's something that they've added some pieces. I think they're definitely helping themselves out offensively. Getting more shooters on the floor and just kind of getting some more new life on the team. And I think they have the pieces to do it. And hopefully Fox, plays consistent the whole year to carry them there. So
Cool. I think. Well, obviously, I talked about that. My most improved player would be Anthony Simons. I think good player. The more he touches the ball, and more he's able to, get points up. I think he's a solid scorer. So,
yeah,
I know a lot of it comes down to numbers. So if he's able to put those numbers up,
yeah, I think another guy who could be in contention for most improved is Zion. He's been out. I feel like you just haven't really seen him play.
Yeah.
So it's something that hey, if that guy can come back and stay healthy and all that, he's definitely up there. He definitely has the popularity to do it. So I think if he's playing well, I think he could get most improved as well.
All right, Rookie of the Year.
Do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah.
I'll see what.
I feel like everybody wants Paolo, right? Especially with Chet being out. But I think it's too obvious if it's gonna be Paolo. I'm gonna go Jaden Ivey. I think I'm gonna stick with the fact that I think Detroit will be all right.
Okay.
So we're gonna ride that. I don't even like Detroit, but hopefully he's okay.
I think for me, I think he could do a lot in the rookies that always kind of scare me. Like Chet is always going to be one that scares me. Mm-hmm. Jaden Ivey is the other one that scares me.
Yeah.
Just the reasoning is he was such a he's someone that's so talented, but he's coming into such a struggling franchise that I don't know if he's the guy to take it over. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm really hoping it's Keegan Murray for the Sacramento Kings. He's played way good in the summer league. He's played really good in the preseason. If that Kings team plays well, like I said, if they can get into that play-in game or lower seed in the playoffs, I think Keegan Murray will have to step up and play a big part in that. And I really think he can be Rookie of the Year for the Kings this year.
Alrighty. Last one would be Sixth Man of the Year. And I think, I don't know if you have one of mine, but mine is Jordan Poole. I love the dude. He went to Michigan. He's a Wolverine. So I'm hoping for the best for him, just by that. But I think similar to Simons, I think he's just a natural scorer. And mm-hmm. coming off the bench after Clay and Steph, you can't really ask for more. So, I think he'll do well. I think he'll put up good enough numbers to be Sixth Man of the Year. The reason I say this is because I think Tyler Herro is going to get a starting job this year.
Okay. So see, I was taking Tyler Hero
Okay,
for
okay.
my
I mean,
man.
I'm hoping that Tyler Hero can be in the conversation. So
Yeah, no, I think he definitely could be. That is, yeah, obviously, if he
yeah,
gets the starting job, he's out for that pick. But I think, Jordan Poole, I think is, he's so talented. He's such a good player, and hopefully there isn't a bunch of drama in their locker room that kind of distracts him
Mhm.
from playing and competing. But they're a good team. But I love Tyler Hero. He'd be kind of my pick. He's just, I don't know, he's a dude you love having the. If you have the luxury of having Tyler Hero coming off your bench, you're sitting in a pretty good spot. So
100%.
that's where, yeah, I'd put for six man of the year.
Okay, cool, cool. And then, yeah, so that pretty much wraps it up. I know it took a good amount of your time, but do you want to show off the jersey real quick? Hopefully
Oh
the
yeah,
Yankees win.
I know it's game starts pretty
Yes,
soon.
sir.
Big Aaron Judge guy.
We
So
love it. We love
I
it.
want the. Yeah, I feel like the Yankees can they can make some dents. They're getting some guys back.
Go ahead and predict the score real quick. What is it tonight?
Oh, tonight.
Yep.
Ooh, seven seems like the lucky number tonight. I would love to see the Yankees jump out to like a nice 8-3 win. I think Garrett Cole, playoff Garrett Cole, that dude can be absolutely unhittable. I would love to see him go. If Garrett Cole can go a solid 7 and 2/3,
hmm
that dude, I don't know. That'd be so nice for us.
I'm
Give
also
our bullpen some rest. But I think I really, if I pick a guy that I think could make a huge impact for the Yankees this postseason, I want to see Giancarlo Stanton like just really take off.
I hope so too.
Yeah, but we're getting some guys back. Carpenter, he was on the roster, I think, so I think he's ready to come back. He was out for the latter half of the season, and he was such a big player for them before, such a nice pickup
hmm
for the midseason.
I'm looking
It's-
at the
I want to see
Mariners.
Yankees Dodgers. So
Okay, okay. I'm looking at the Mariners at 7 right now, up 7-5. I see the Phillies up 1-7-6. I'm gonna go 7-2 Yankees.
7-2.
I think Garrett Cole, if anything, gives up one. And then the Guardians are kind of struggling for that other one, but we will see. The Guardians, they have a lot of good hitters, so
Yeah. No, I mean, and the Yankees, I feel like they've played the Indians or the Guardians, sorry, a lot in the past couple years in the ALDS. I feel like the Yankees either play the Twins, they play the Guardians. The ALDS spot kind of always seems like that, but postseason baseball in the Bronx, it's a very tough environment to come into. You're facing Garrett Cole in the Yankees lineup. I think Yankees could sweep that series. So
sounds good. All right, well, that's all I had for today. I appreciate you coming on.
absolutely,
You will be back 100% because the content was amazing. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and thank you to Nathan. So
absolutely.
thank you
All right.
for sure.